You ever deal with one of those neighbors who genuinely believe the whole world exists to revolve around them? Yeah, that was my reality. Every single morning, like clockwork, I'd step out of my front door, keys in hand, coffee in the other, ready to start my day, and there it was. That shiny, overpriced Porsche sitting right in my assigned parking space like it belonged there. Not once. Not twice. Literally every single morning. And here's the kicker, that luxury ride belonged to none other than the spoiled, self-absorbed son of the HOA president herself, the infamous Karen of our neighborhood. Now, I'd already had my fair share of her ridiculous power trips. She was the type of person who would measure your lawn with a ruler to make sure it met HOA standards, complain if kids rode their bikes too fast, and send passive-aggressive emails about trash cans being 1 inch out of place. But this time, this wasn't some community issue. This was personal. Parking was already a headache around our neighborhood, and I paid extra money every month for my reserved space. Yet her son, this arrogant, 20-something brat who barely even lived there, decided that my parking spot was more convenient for him. At first, I tried being reasonable. I went over, knocked on their door, and politely explained that the spot was mine and I'd appreciate it if he could move his car. He smirked, muttered something about there being plenty of other places to park, and slammed the door right in my face. I figured, okay, maybe he'd get the message. But the very next morning, boom, the Porsche was back in my spot again, sparkling like a giant middle finger aimed straight at me. So, I went to Karen herself, thinking surely, as the president of the HOA, the self-appointed enforcer of every single rule, she'd understand. But instead, she gave me that fake, condescending smile. You know, the kind that screams, "I don't care about your problems." Then she said, "My son is only visiting temporarily. I'm sure you can park somewhere else for a little while. It's not that big of a deal." Not that big of a deal? This was coming from the same woman who fined another neighbor $50 because their recycling bin lid didn't close properly. But suddenly, when it came to her son, the rules didn't matter anymore. That's when it hit me. I wasn't just dealing with entitlement. I was dealing with pure hypocrisy. So, I decided to document everything. Photos of the car parked in my spot, all time-stamped. Notes about how often it happened. I even caught him on video laughing with his friends about stealing the old guy's spot. He thought it was hilarious. He thought I was powerless. But little did they know, I had a plan. And by the time I was done, that Porsche wouldn't just be parked illegally, it would be nothing but twisted, worthless scrap metal. The following week, things escalated fast. Every single morning, that Porsche sat there like a trophy, shining under the sun, mocking me. I tried every polite route possible. Notes on the windshield, ignored. Calls to the HOA board, dismissed. Even a tow request that got blocked by Karen herself. She claimed her son was a guest of the community and therefore exempt from enforcement. Exempt. That word stuck in my head like a spark waiting to ignite a fire. People in the neighborhood started talking too. Some were on my side, shaking their heads at the obvious double standard. Others kept their distance, terrified of crossing Karen. She had that kind of influence, like a queen ruling her little suburban kingdom. And her son? He strutted around like a prince, revving his Porsche late at night, waking the entire street just to show off. One morning, I remember being late to work because I had to park 3 streets away. When I finally came home that evening, there he was, leaning against his Porsche in my spot, sipping an energy drink, laughing with his buddies. "Hey!" he called out, flashing that smug grin. "Thanks for letting me borrow your spot again." They all burst out laughing like it was the funniest thing ever. I clenched my fists so hard my knuckles cracked. My blood was boiling. That night, As I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I realized something. Karen and her son didn't just want convenience, they wanted control. Parking in my spot wasn't about space, it was about power. They wanted to remind me that, no matter what I did, I was beneath them. And right then, I decided enough was enough. I started building my plan carefully. I wasn't going to do anything stupid or illegal that could get me into trouble. No, this needed to be smart, precise, and satisfying. I studied that Porsche like it was my personal project, how it was parked, when it was left unattended, which way the wheels were turned. I knew every inch of that car by heart. Then, I started collecting supplies. Industrial strength tire spikes. A few gallons of a corrosive chemical I ordered online under the label of cleaning solution. And most importantly, a hidden dashcam to record everything. If I was going to take my revenge, I wanted undeniable proof of why it happened. Every night for a week I practiced timing, angles, escape routes. I knew exactly when the street would be empty, when Karen wouldn't be home, and when that Porsche would be left unguarded. This wasn't about petty payback anymore. This was about justice. When the night finally came, I was ready. It was a Thursday evening, quiet, with a light drizzle that softened the sound of my footsteps. The Porsche sat there, shining under a streetlight in my spot, like it always did. But tonight, it wasn't mocking me, it was my target. I crouched low and slid the first part of my setup under the front tires, trying not to laugh. And then, just to make things even better, smoke started seeping out from under the car as the corrosive solution began doing its work. The metal underneath was bubbling, flaking, melting. He panicked, fumbling with his phone, calling someone. And within minutes, here came Karen, storming out of her house in her robe and curlers, looking less like a queen and more like a lunatic. When she saw the car, her face went from pale to bright red. "What did you do?" she screamed at her son, as if he had personally destroyed his own Porsche. He babbled excuses, pointing everywhere, but she wasn't listening. The best part? The neighbors started gathering. Some were recording the chaos, whispering just loud enough for Karen to hear. "Isn't that her son's car? Didn't she say she enforces the parking rules? Guess the HOA president can't even control her own family." Each whisper was another dagger to her pride. And me? I walked outside casually, coffee in hand, pretending to be shocked. "Oh, wow," I said, acting concerned. "Guess that's what happens when people ignore parking rules." Her face was priceless. The Porsche was completely trashed, tires shredded, exhaust corroded, the frame bent from dragging itself over the spikes. A tow truck came not long after, hauling the once pristine car away like a defeated soldier. Karen tried to regain her power, barking orders to the HOA board to investigate the vandalism. But by then, I'd already anonymously sent my dashcam footage to the board, showing everything. Her son mocking me, bragging about stealing my spot, and her dismissing my complaints. Within weeks, Karen was forced to resign as HOA president. Her son never parked in my spot again, mostly because his Porsche was declared total loss. Insurance refused to cover it, calling it negligent damage. Justice had finally been served, not just for me, but for everyone who'd ever been bullied by that woman's double standards. And the best part? They never had a clue it was me. So yeah, that's how it all went down. If you enjoyed this wild HOA Karen meltdown and want more insane stories like this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in my place? Your support keeps these stories coming, and trust me, the next one's even crazier.